inequality and feeling discontentment, meaning political trouble. What is the ministry doing to reduce technological unemployment, to leave as far as possible no one behind? Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Chin Huat, and also my fellow esteemed panelists. And I like how Chin Huat say Prof. Wan can hold a conversation in perfect Chinese. So was Hang Tuah actually. If you in my book I wrote about how Hang Tuah actually learned Chinese among the 12 languages that he was fluent with. So I'm going to start with Pantun. This has been a culture of Kesuma, and I've been criticized by netizens for being a Menteri Pantun. You try to write one and see, whether in Mandarin, Bahasa, or even English. I think it represents the wit and intelligence of our culture. I personally believe in that, and encouraging this culture is not just about celebrating this culture, but also testing the mind. Madu mentah dibuat jamu, madu segera dimakan pekat, maju bangsa kerana ilmu, maju negara kerana bakat. Thank you so much. I know Chin Huat since we were colleagues in PI, Penang Institute, so I know fear-mongering is one of his characteristics, right? So in the question he put in, there's going to be 0.3 million or 300,000 job loss since X year ago, 2020 something, 2020. Up to 2020. You mentioned it's because of AI. I'm not sure whether the report say it is because of AI or pandemic or other matters, but
that's from the Age Malaysia.
Yeah. But I think what I should do is really to give you an overview of what is the current situation. What is the current situation in our labor market, our labor dynamics? I characterize the situation with what I call the three paradoxes of the current Malaysian labor market. Number one, it's what I call the skills to number one is wage to job paradox. So we are in a very low unemployment situation. Labor market is very tight. So it is a workers' market. 3.2%, I think, at this current rate. But at the same time, you imagine that if it is a workers' market, wages would be improving because it is on the demand of the workers, because low unemployment. But unfortunately, the paradox in this situation is that wages are relatively low. Median wage monthly salary is about 2.7 plus thousand a month. The second paradox is what I call the skills job paradox. Employers has been complaining to us all the time when we meet investors. They're saying we do not have enough talents, especially in STEM, in science, technology, engineering sector. So figures have been thrown around. We need about 60,000 engineers and technical workers currently. But at the same time, interestingly, underemployment due to mismatch between job and education or academic qualification is relatively high, over 36%. Although we have seen an improvement last year versus the year before, but it is still quite high. Compare unemployment 3.2% versus underemployment vis-a-vis job and education qualification is over 36%. The third paradox is what I call the education job paradox. And this is one of the favorite questions thrown to me at forums, which is why I thought this is an interesting paradox. World Bank last year published a report that says we produce about 300,000 graduates every year. But the job market can only provide about 50,000 high-paying, high-skilled jobs. So you have this current issue that we are facing. There are some positive numbers, but unfortunately, the paradox is that there are also some challenges and issues that we have to face. On the issue of AI, digitalization, displacing jobs or affecting jobs, what we did last year, I know AI is a thing today. I always say, if you want to sell your product today, you want to sell your mineral water, just put AI enabled. You go very far. And everyone is talking about AI all the time, but do we really know what is AI? I did computer science 20 years ago. At that time, it was what we call the expert system model. Today is LLM. So even for somebody who have done computer science 20 years ago, we may not be very familiar with the current AI. So in Kesuma, what we did around March or April last year was we said, okay, it is very important, everyone is talking about AI, but we do not want to shoot into the dark. So anticipating more than 6 months later, our friend is going to ask me this question. Last year in April, we decided, let us do a report to assess the impact of AI, digitalization, and the green economy against our Malaysian job market. And the report was actually launched, it was completed around end of September. It was launched in November. And the report is available online. So I will leave you to read the report. But essentially, we are looking at about we look at about 60-70% of our GDP, 10 key sectors. It will be another 10 sectors will be done this year. But essentially, we are looking at about 600,000 jobs that are going to be impacted at various degrees. So and in these 10 sectors. So one of the reasons for this is so that policymakers like the government, not just my ministry, but education, higher education, MITI, essentially, private sector, investors, employers, SME, and also workers and Malaysians in general can actually look at empirically driven research on how your job, your role, your industry will be impacted by these 21st century economic trends. For us, this is important so that we can craft strategies, so that we don't shoot into the dark. Just because everyone is doing AI, we do AI. And out of this, we've got a portal called My Mahir, where you can assess your situation in the next 3 to 5 years. And then this year, when I launched it last year in November, I said this is only half the story. Because this year, we are going to launch what I call the fulfillment part of it. What are people who are facing issues with AI, displacing their jobs or affecting their job, what can they do in terms of training, in terms of reskilling, cross-skilling, pivoting to perhaps other roles as well. So these are some of the things that we are doing. But I think importantly, this report represented, and this report was done, I saw that 3 minutes left. This report was done, 60% of the committee that sits that's set to prepare the report are from the private sectors, both MNCs and SMEs, because we do not want to just have a theoretical framework. We have a theoretical framework, but essentially we want the industry to tell us how will all these trends affect your job on a day-to-day basis in the next 3 to 5 years. So I think this is very important because it helps us to have a visibility of the future, near future, and then from then, I mean, the government has all sorts of training programs, even as we speak, right? In Kesuma, I can elaborate all this training program later. But how do we strategically, the bahasa word is menggemblengkan, how do we synthesize, how do we combine all these resources so that it can be more tactical, strategic in dealing with real issues that's going to be faced by Malaysians in general. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Stephen. Beri barang di 7-Eleven, ada dari selatan sampai ke utara. Dulu Hantawa, kini Stephen. Pandai bahasa, kuat negara.
Terima kasih.
Dia jual pantun, saya kena belilah.
You need wits and intelligence to come up with something like that at a short notice. So I think he deserves another round of applause.
No, he's a Menteri Pantun, I'm the columnist Pantun. So I have to hold my ground. And second question, just give me a moment. Second question to Professor Zuhainis. Should our education, especially university education, aim to meet the human resource need of the economy mainly? Or is education more than job training? It's about self-actualization, intellectual fulfillment, citizen empowerment, and so on. Now, how do we strike the balance? What's your response? So I do not simply create all the story, right? Just now, the earlier ones from the Age, this is from World Bank. What is your response to the World Bank finding that 25% of our degree holders work in jobs that do not match their talents? Over to you, Prof.
Thank you, Prof. YB, I don't know any pantun. And 也不会讲华语，也不会用pantun 讲华语。Okay. Okay. So, regarding the should in education, especially in university, aim to meet human resource. I believe that education should strike balance. Not just to equip students to meet the human resource, economic human resource needs, but also to be able to fulfill the broader mission in terms of intellectual fulfillment and citizen empowerment. And I do believe that, you know, in order for us to meet the human resource need, we'll see that a skill alignment and industry needs are important. About the when we talk about underemployment, skill-related underemployment or SRU, I think this issue has been debating in many platforms, especially between the Ministry of Higher Education, Kesuma, and MITI, and at the institution level or at the Ministry of Higher Education level, we're saying in the institution, we are actually producing the talent until they graduate and then should be taken up by Kesuma. If we were to oversee or handle all these graduates until you know, holding hands until into the workforce, then we should be the Ministry of Higher Education and Human Resources. But looking at the working collaboratively with Kesuma and higher education, we do believe that the graduates should be trained during their studies, not upskilling and reskilling after they leave the education. Because in terms of producing the right talent also is not the responsible of the higher education itself. It's the responsible from all. We are supplying the talent, but we also need the input and collaboration from the industry, from the workforce. We need to be able to work together to identify what are the skill sets that are needed in the industry. In terms of curriculum design, for example, we talk about future-ready curriculum or future-proof talent curriculum. We have introduced work-based learning. Work-based learning, or before this, 2U, 2I, or 3U, 1I. From, I think now in 2023, we have about, from 33 programs, we have about 120 programs. Those programs that involve students to be in the industry, to have more immersive industry experience, that work collaboratively with the industry. But one of the biggest challenges is to get the commitment and involvement from the industry to work with higher education. Apprenticeship program, for example. We have only one now, apprenticeship program. This is where the students are trained. From day one in the program, they are being trained by the industry, having at least 70% of the practical in the industry. So it's earn and learn model. But we have only one in Malaysia. So TVET, for example, incorporating TVET and training and professional certification. Those are initiatives that we can add value to the degree. Professional certification here, it doesn't have to be from the professional bodies, but also from industry recognized certification. So we add value to the degree that within that 3 years or 4 years. Fostering broader development in terms of the self-actualization and intellectual fulfillment. We also want to encourage our students, our learners, to have curiosity, creativity, critical thinking, and systems thinking. Systems thinking is one of the most important skill set that are needed, especially now when we talk about sustainability. And systems thinking is also the first key competency for sustainability. And citizen empowerment and education must include the component of values-based education, which is also addressed in our MQF 2024 that was published in August 2024. Values-based education, flexible learning pathway, and global sustainability agenda are the main 3 components in the new Malaysian Qualification Framework 2024. This type of hybrid learnings or work-integrated learning together with the curriculum redesign that integrate not just STEM or STEAM that we will discuss later, that will address not just in terms of the talent that are needed by the industry with smart skill and sharp skill and soft skill, but also to foster global citizenship. And the question addressing the World Bank's findings about the report that 25% of degree holders work in jobs that do not match their talents. This is highlighted in the skill mismatch as the Malaysian labour market. Mentioned by YB Stephen just now about the insufficient regional opportunities for our graduates. This actually will cause the high skill-related underemployment, or what we call as SRU. And this high SRU, especially in lagging states, we can see from the report showing that, yes, thank you, 3 more minutes. Now I don't know where am I. Okay, the report saying in percentage is higher in the lagging state, especially in the East Coast, about 50%, compared to Kuala Lumpur, Putrajaya. We also see how this SRU or skill-related underemployment, one of the proposed solution, or one of the we need to address is we need to understand the Gen Z, how the characteristics of Gen Z, how they are being more focus-driven, flexible and digital learning, and they want to have the opportunity for global opportunities. So in terms of people may think that, when we say based on the report saying that the skill-related underemployment showing high undergraduate that is underemployment, people may think that we are producing oversaturated graduate that are with more generic program that are oversaturated graduate. But we also want to address the lack of these high skill vacancies available. Our industry we're actually focusing on the manufacturing and services, very low percentage of the research and development. We have PhD graduates who have a very high skill in research and development, those from, for example, even biotechnologies field is also having this issue on the SRU. The emergence of disruptive technology, not just about Gen AI, we are talking about emerging technology and disruptive technology that creating a demand for new skills. So not just in terms of the our education, but also for employees in the workforce that need to be upskilling and reskilling. So in order to solve this, we also propose enhance the lifelong learning and life-wide learning, and also strengthening the industry academia collaboration. That is very important. That will actually help to our education to focus, to be more focus driven, to be together to produce the talent that are needed. Thank you.
Thank you very much on time. Now next, turn to Karen. Karen, your team has produced a report on the status of ESD in Malaysia. ESD stands for Education for Sustainable Development, and Malaysia is indeed leading the initiative because we are ahead of other countries. So could you share with us what prompted this pilot study and what were the main findings? Thank you.
Thank you. Is this working? Yes. Apologies, no pantun from me either. But thank you for the question, and thank you to all of you. Good afternoon. Welcome to Sunway University. So yes, as Huat mentioned, we did conduct a study. We published a report. And what prompted the study, right? That was the question. So what prompted the study? First of all, when the Asia headquarters of the UN Sustainable Development Solutions Network was established here in Malaysia, one of our flagship projects was Mission 4.7. So what is Mission 4.7? Huat already mentioned earlier. It is a mission to advance Target 7 of SDG 4. So what is, do we know what Target 7 of SDG 4 is? Okay, let me read it. By 2030, to ensure all learners acquire knowledge and skills needed to promote sustainable development, among others, through education for sustainable development and sustainable lifestyles, human rights, gender equality, promotion of a culture of peace and non-violence, global citizenship, and appreciation of cultural diversity and culture's contribution to sustainable development. So basically, it is a mission to transform education to be more future relevant. And our work under Mission 4.7, and it's a global coalition. It's made up of UN SDSN and our SDG Academy, UNESCO, the Ban Ki-moon Center for Global Citizenship, and the Center for Sustainable Development at Columbia University in the US. And our work is to curate, create, and disseminate resources for teaching and learning to produce human capital that will reflect a future based on sustainable development. That's one. The other is to identify and develop future-centric pedagogical innovations that can be incorporated into education systems in all countries around the world and at all levels. So not just K through 12, but also higher education and also beyond higher education, lifelong learning. And third is to identify what are the best practices, what are the successful case studies that can be shared with policymakers and educators all around the world. So that was the first thing that prompted us to do the study. The second thing that prompted us to do the study is because since our headquarters is based here in Malaysia, and we all know that in Malaysia there is this resounding call to transform education that has been going on for decades. So, I mean, there are also a lot of indicators pointing to the imperative to transform. So indicators like our performance in PISA and TIMSS, indicators like our learning poverty rates. So these were very significant factors that prompted us to find out what is the level of education for sustainable development embeddedness in our current education system. And so, I mean, incidentally, the low performance of Malaysia in PISA was actually what prompted the writing of the Malaysian Education Blueprint, 2012 to 2025. And now, 2025, our last PISA performance was actually even lower than what it was in 2012. So our learning poverty rate is 42%. And these numbers don't reflect the level of development that Malaysia is at. So this was another, very compelling reason why we should really gather some evidence of what we can do to make things better. So then we embarked on our study, and we published our report. And the report, which you can download, by the way, it's on a QR code just outside this room, it revealed the following. One, many educators, and we studied K through 12. Okay, we didn't look at higher education, and we looked at public schools only, not private schools. So what was revealed is, one, many educators lack understanding of sustainable development. And without such foundational knowledge, they struggle to design any kind of engaging, real-world learning activities that promote education for sustainable competencies. Competencies like critical thinking, systems thinking, problem solving, okay? And the second thing that was revealed was that our current national education policies, they don't explicitly reference sustainable development. Maybe because when it was written, it wasn't yet a buzzword, so that's fair enough. But this coupled with the lack of understanding among educators, it results in very low levels of motivation to learn and apply new and different pedagogical strategies in teaching and learning. And the third thing that was revealed is, if you look at the curriculum, there are elements of sustainability, mainly in science, but peppered throughout the curricula. But unfortunately, they are not clearly defined or distinguishable as part of an overall education for development strategy. So, but let me assure you, okay, Malaysia is not unique. These gaps exist in many countries, most countries in fact. But however, except those countries that really commit to take radical steps to transform education. So then, with all this evidence in hand, we are now working closely with the Ministry of Education to design, and we went on to design an intervention that will address the gaps. So our intervention is actually focused on upskilling educators, so teachers, school leaders, which would in turn make the existing curriculum in public schools, no matter what subject, much more meaningful and much more engaging and more applicable to real-world issues. So let me stop there, and I will talk more about the experiences from running the intervention later. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Karen. You see, even when Karen doesn't intend to do fear-mongering, when she mentioned PISA, I could see many people noted like, oh dear. Okay, so now come back to the questions what one key point about SDG is that you realize that they all get interconnected. And so when we talk about lifelong learning, upskilling, which no one would object to, the real challenge is always that how do you make sure no one left behind? And another, worsening our inequality. So I'll come back to this question. What can be done to help individuals with less resources and opportunities, freelancers, gig workers, older workers, homemakers, even retirees, to also join the bandwagon? Because it's easy to talk to people, many of like us, who have the capacity to do all these things. What about those who have less? Do you think the government should be more generous with tax relief in upskilling and self-enhancement, going beyond 2,000 ringgit? And how can businesses be incentivized to be more supportive of lifelong learning? Thank you.
Thank you. Because Karen has so graciously shared the QR code for her report, Jinhua asked me whether I have a QR code or not. I don't have a QR code, but it's My Mahir, Mahir as in kemahiran, My as in Malaysia, MY, mymahir.my. So not only you have access to the report, you can also take personal skill assessment about your current skills level, and then whether, project what sort of role you are suitable to play. Then there is also link towards, if you feel that role has a problem in the future, there are also links which connects you directly to training opportunities. So and I really like what you say. It's and I've always repeated this everywhere I go, that training, educating Malaysians, educating our next generation must not be the sole responsibility of the government alone. But every time after I say this, I have to look at the press and tell them that's not the headlines tomorrow. Stephen Sim say education, government is not responsible for educating. No, I didn't say that. Must be the sole responsible. And logically, it is true. I mean, education, parents, home institutions, society, religious institution, the private sector have to play a role. Lifelong education opportunity was given to me when I was, about a few years ago. Professor Wong offered me to do a master's degree here with full scholarship. But disclaimer, I didn't take up the scholarship offer just to avoid fitna and also, all sorts of difficulty. So I paid the full price. I paid the full price. I paid the full price that few years ago. So so everyone have to play a role. I always say that we need all hand on the deck approach when it comes to education. Okay, but beyond that, you talk about whether it is enough or not, 200, 2,000 tax, 3,000 tax exemption, etc. When I was in MOF, one of the most, the biggest dilemma I have is when I have a dialogue. And I always love dialogue with 1,000 people. Because if you have dialogue with only one group, I learned this from you. You talk about the Federalist paper. When the group is too small, then they gang up with a single agenda. But I always say, dialogue, 1,000 people, no problem. Ask whatever you want, talk. Why? Because then this group will find out that, will discover that, hey, while you have your demand, this another group have other demands. And in the democracy, we have to live with balancing, sharing of resources, balancing the tension of interest. So one group say more tax, one group say less tax, etc., etc. But as it is, we are looking at, for example, a fiscal outlay of 6 to 7 billion a year. This is not MOE or MOHE. This is only on skills training at all levels, including lifelong training, short-term courses, long-term courses, TVET, whatever. 6 to 7 billion ringgit in fiscal outlay. In Kesuma itself, we have about 3 billion ringgit for skills training this year in 2025. So whether resources is enough or not, I think it is about managing those resources. You asked about the vulnerable groups, senior citizens, OKU, even orang asli. We have a program for the last 2 years. We call it the Program Latihan Madani, where 20 million a year has been allocated, dedicated to training these groups Last year, we have another a new program which we crafted called MISI, Malaysian Indian Skills Initiative. It was launched, it was announced much earlier of the year, but we managing the, what do you call it, the programs. It was finally launched in November. And I can tell you, I don't know whether they are press here or not, I can tell you I wasn't satisfied. Yeah, so this year, MISI 2.0, we want to do better. We want to do better because we felt that at the end of the day, my point is this. You have all the money there. The resources are allocated. You have all sorts of training. You talk about not training them after school, but training them within the, when they are still in that stream, in university, in high school. I fully agree. We started a program called Ilham Madani last year. Incentive Latihan Madani. I am a big sucker for acronym. And I've always got good acronym. Kesuma, it means flower. It means hope. It means nobility, also Kementerian Sumber Manusia. Ilham Madani, Incentive Latihan Amali, Kesuma, where we pride ourselves as one of the largest organizers of paid and systematic internship in this country. Why? Because I believe internship, on-job training, IR 4.0 is about on-the-job training. It is about training, learning by practice. We have to rethink university. University, I'm sorry, Prof. I'm a proud product of Sunway, of Universiti Malaya. But I think essentially, university is for you to go 4 years, deep thinking, think about the meaning of life, what is love, what is pain, what is death, where is God, who is God. But industry may not necessarily benefit from such a training, such a model of training. So which is why the obsession with making TVET to be like university, I think we should change. There's so many things unpacked in just that minute that they are giving to me. So what are we doing? We want to make TVET, number one, the accessibility of TVET. I want to make TVET accessible so that you can level up at whatever level. This year, in the past, as UPU, after SPM, after STPM, you want to apply for public university, you go to this one-stop portal, apply to all universities. There's nothing like that for TVET. We have about 600 over government-run TVET. If you want to apply for TVET after SPM, you go one by one. If some of them have websites, some of them don't have website. Last year, we created UP TVET. I haven't got the number for last year, but I believe last year's enrollment is high because of this accessibility. We want to talk about affordability. I say I'm going to launch the fulfillment for Maima here. Yeah, we want to talk about a university, a skill university where there is no term schedule. You can go in anytime. Anyone can go in, Makcik Kia or whoever. There's no racial quota. Oh, time's up. And we'll talk about quality. We are working together. Give me a bit, Minister.
I give you 1 more minute because you didn't use up your first part.
Thank you. So we are working with Proton. I have 33 Institute Latihan Perusahaan under my watch. One of the Institute Latihan Perusahaan it's called ILP Melaka, Institute Latihan Perusahaan Melaka, Center of Excellence for Automotive Tech. Mat, you graduate mana? I graduate Institute Latihan Perusahaan Melaka. Nobody will give you another look. This year, we have worked with Proton, rebranded it. Proton come and design the syllabus. It's now called Proton Institute of Advanced Automotive Tech. Mat, hang graduate mana? I graduate Institute Proton. Soon, we are hoping to have an Institute Huawei. I don't know, maybe future Institute Google, Intel, whatnot. We want to work that closely, that radically with the industry. Yeah. That will give me another minute. Okay. Then okay. But I think very importantly, I think all of us here, you are right. It's so easy for us to talk about. Hey, you go reskilling, you go what not. But do we know the anxiety of workers? I go to the workers all the time. I visited, I think, almost 20 union last year. The worker tell me, yes, I know government prepare all this, but I've been doing this all my life, 20, 30 years. Now you're telling me I'm going to be displaced. You ask me to go and study AI. That anxiety, yeah. I think we have to address that as well. I don't have enough time, but we are trying to build all that to deal with individual anxieties of workers when it comes to having to face with upskilling, reskilling, whatnot. I think, okay lah, thank you lah. And be a teacher, be a teacher. Last forum economy, I shared all this. I came down, somebody said, it's all about education. I said, that's right. So smart people like you, go be a teacher. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. Since Stephen mentioned about UPU, the centralized unit that decide on the student recruitment and enrollment for public university, I want to turn this question to Professor Zuhainis, because that was part of our planned conversation. Do you think it's time for public university to move away from centralized recruitment? Because if you look at private university, Sunway, for example, we and our peers, we compete for students, all students. We do not have any coordinating mechanism. But even public university, they compete for foreign students. So, is it time for us to actually let public university to compete for domestic students? Now, I want to make that question a bit larger. There's always countries that would go for decentralized, free competition, and there are also countries that prefer to have a centralized one. So what are the pros and cons? Over to you, Professor.
Okay, thank you. So must have disclaimer first. Okay, this is for my experience, from my own experience with the universities and the ministry. And moving forward with the blueprint of higher education 2025, 2035, the next decade. Of course, when we talk about the current scenario in Malaysia is where Malaysia centralized UPU as the system that to ensure equity and access, right? But the rising need for the global competitiveness also, we do understand that we need to have greater institutional autonomy. And although we say that it is a competing for the international student, private and public universities are actually competing with to get for the international student, but at the same time also require more innovative recruitment strategies. And if we were to look at which model that we should produce to produce international competitive university, I think the choice between the centralized enrollment mechanism and competitive decentralized model, depending on the balancing of the equity, quality, and the competitiveness, and because both systems will have strength and their own limitations. If we were to centralize enrollment mechanism, we need to ensure, the advantage is we are ensuring the equity, access, and fairness just now, which we provide equal opportunity to learn for all learners, especially for those who are underserved regions and disadvantageous background. And this also will help to standardize the criteria and processes that make enrollment transparent and accessible. The limitation is the centralized system may lack of responsiveness and to market trends, for example. But even UPU also right now is, will have embedded with AI that can support to do the metrics portfolio. And the decentralized recruitment mechanism, the advantage promotes institutional autonomy and allow university to tailor recruitment and encourage specialization and innovation. But limitation is they can lead to inequality in access and risk of commercializing education where financial gains outweigh quality and inclusivity, which actually can be overcome through strengthening the governance, strong governance to maintain the standards and prevent predatory practices. So should we replace the UPU or with decentralized recruitment? We may even have hybrid, for example, hybrid enrollment model. So we can retain the centralized oversight to ensure equity again, which allowing university to but at the same time, allowing greater autonomy for the institution to recruit based on their strengths. And we also encourage university to develop their own niche program to specialize university branding and provide those universities in the lagging state with more autonomy to develop programs that are focusing on the niche of the community and the society in their states, focusing on the regional economic talent and recruit talent accordingly. And I also believe that we need to foster stronger relationship and partnership that will between the public and the private university. This is to optimize. Just now what Stephen mentioned about resource sharing. We need to may even look at how you know, in the future of one higher education mechanism, for example, right? And through differentiated learning pathway and flexible learning pathway that will actually help us to incorporate this lifelong learning ecosystem. That will later we'll see on how through unbundling education, micro-credentials, for example, that modular learning that will help to to address wider audience.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Karen, over to you. Could you share with us some of the regional ESD interventions that SDSN has carried out in the ASEAN country that can complement national policy making and professional development? Could you specifically tell us about your intervention design as well as training implementation experiences? Thank you.
Thank you for the question. So the two major projects that we have at SDSN that directly serve professional development, the first is our SDG Academy. So if you have not heard of SDG Academy, please visit sdgacademy.org. It is a platform which is also an extremely rich resource of massive open online courses on virtually any field within sustainable development that you can think of extremely high quality, delivered by some of the top subject matter experts in the world. There are more than 50 courses available completely for free. So this could also complement what you said, Prof, about micro-credentialing, because in a way they are micro-credentials, but they were designed at learners who are of university level and beyond. So it could be for those who are in university as well as those who are already in their professional careers looking to upskill. The second project that we have in SDSN is, of course, Mission 4.7, and that is specifically focused on the education sector. And having said that, in education, it's very contextual, you know. Every context is different. Even within a country, there are different needs depending on the institutions where they are located, determines the community that they serve and the unique needs that that community may have, the realities that they face, the issues that they are faced with. So when we designed our intervention that was based on the study that we did, it was designed in a way that specifically targeted the gaps that were identified. And because we identified those gaps, we designed the intervention this way. Number one, it was delivered in person for all teachers in a school to do it together, regardless of what subjects they teach. And the reason for this is because this kind of whole school approach, it encourages ownership, that they take a collaborative approach and address whatever needs that their school community may have collectively. The second feature of our program is we use a lot of local examples and a lot of local case studies, and we show educators how to do the same in their classrooms. And this makes learning more meaningful, more engaging. It allows learners to apply learning to real-world realities that are happening around them, and also it helps to harness their interest and build their passions for longer-term career building or longer-term vocation building. So, you know, Stephen said the purpose of university is more to like discover yourself and to contemplate the big questions. But the thing about educational institutions, it may not directly give you skills that you can immediately transfer to the workforce, but it changes the way you think if done properly. So now allow me to share some of the key learnings from our experience with the intervention that we designed. Number one, and really most important, leadership is extremely important. After undergoing the training, the teachers, they said that it exposed them to totally new concepts, methods, techniques that they had never been exposed to before, that were of a global standard. And they said that they see their roles as teachers as more meaningful in shaping the lives of their students. And many said that they will do things differently in the classroom. However, there were also many who said that if it was not directed by their leader, they're not going to do it. If it was not explicitly made their KPI, they're not going to do anything differently. So this shows that leadership is so important. Leaders have to set the example, you know. I'm not saying that leaders have to set the KPI, but they really need to set the example and move away from being just operational, but to be more strategic and to look at the bigger picture. Leaders is both leaders in the government machinery as well as leaders in schools. So in the government machinery, we believe that leaders should allow schools to act autonomously based on the needs of their community. In the schools, like I said, leaders should really go beyond just the day-to-day managerial operational tasks and be more strategic. And I always like to take the example of Orang Asli schools. Malaysia has done really well in providing access to education, right? Even in the most remote areas to indigenous communities, they can access education. Well, they can access schooling, but accessing schooling is not the same as accessing quality education. That's the point I want to make. So if you look at Orang Asli schools, first of all, the data is scarce and also inconsistent, but what we know is that there are some studies that indicate as high as 50% don't transition from primary school to secondary school. And there are studies that have shown that as high as 80% don't finish upper secondary school, and only about 3% transition to higher education. So why is this? I mean, schools are there, right? So the teachers are there. So we can check the box, right? We can check the box. We've provided access, but can we say we have provided quality education, right? If we look at, do I have time? I didn't use my full 10 minutes for my first question.
I know. We are a bit run out of time. So
okay, yeah, very quickly. If you look at SPM results 2023, 24% failed math, and another 50% passed with a D or E grade. If you look at English, 2023 SPM results, more than 50% scored D, E, or F. So they got the SPM certificate, they checked the box, but what does this mean for their future career prospects? So just to drive the point that there is a difference between providing access and providing quality. I'll stop there, thanks.
Thank you very much. Now, Karen, please look at this. Okay, now we started about 10 minutes late and we will end 5 minutes late. But that means we still have about 24 minutes now. In order that we actually have a conversation from the stage and on the floor, so with the permissions of the panelists, I would like to invite you to ask questions. So, okay, first hand over there, second in the middle, third one over there. So that's it, 3 questions. Yes, yes, you at the back. The lady first, and then there's a gentleman here in the middle just now. Who was it? No, I know, I saw you. I saw you, don't worry. But someone here just now in the middle, wasn't Andrew. I can't remember now. One.
Start from here?
Okay. Okay, go to the lady in front. Okay. Okay, 4. That's it, final. And you have 1 minute to ask, and the timer would actually show you when you have 30 seconds left. Your name, your institution, organization, if you want to, the question who you want to pose to. It can be general, and then your questions, right? No salutations, no appreciation. This is great. We all know it. Thank you. Because I want to save time for them to answer. Right. So the lady right at the side. Yeah. Please. Where's the mic? Yes. Okay, time start. Name and your question, please.
In charge of skill training. Actually, there is a need, just how somebody said, we should make a Ministry of Higher Education and Human Resource. Because the problem is theoretical learning, academic learning, and practical training should be merged, which allow students to enter academic or practical training at any time of their life.
Thank you very much. You are Miss Wee. Okay, thank you, Miss Wee. All right.
I'd like your comment on this.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you. So next question is a lady down here. Right, can the mic be quick so that we won't lose time? The third one is a gentleman upstairs. The fourth is Dr. Farouk Musa. No, here. Down here. Thank you.
YB, I start with 2 questions directly to YB. So since I have 1 minute, I will...
No, 5 minutes, 1 minute.
5 minutes, okay.
1 minute, 1 minute.
Only 1 minute, right? Start from now?
Now.
Now, okay. I sell pantun, then I straight...
No pantun, please. No pantun. If you want to do your pantun, I'll cut you off after 1 minute.
YB, expected by year 2030, many jobs of this nature will be no longer exist. Declining job, I'm giving the examples like data entry, growing jobs, big data. So I would like to know what is the government strategy to address this issue? Thank you. That's my question.
Thank you. Thank you very much. On time. Your name? Your name?
I'm Datuk Siti. Actually, I'm from National Settlers Foundations.
Fantastic. Give her a round of applause. Next, the gentleman up there. Okay, after that will be Dr. Farouk. I know you have a lot of questions. If we have a break, later you catch them.
Hi, hello. I have just a question for Karen, but also it can be general. You spoke more on the role of culture and for Mission 4.7 and SDG 4. I just want to know, with Malaysia being a multi-diverse country and multi-ethnic, do you think this can pose some challenges with the different cultures to achieve the SDG and the mission? And what sort of challenges and how can we overcome them? Okay.
Thank you very much. Okay, Dr. Idris, right?
Yes, Idris.
Okay, Idris is from America, our student. Farouk.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Chin Huat. Mine is to YB Stevenson, my friend. YB, I just want to ask you about this idea of Zahid, the Deputy PM, about promoting these TVET graduates to have bachelor degree. I do not think, as an educator, I do not think it's a good idea, and I think it brings down the level, the status of our bachelor degree students by basically awarding TVET graduates with a degree, bachelor degree. Okay, and to Dr. Zuhainis, one comment and one question. One comment is that regarding your university UPM, I mean, you have like more than 100 or few hundred PhD graduates every year. I mean, it came out in the news. But the thing is that I knew that UPM is a huge university, but there has been a muted response from the university with regard to this. I think, you know, you should come up with the facts and figures to say that, you know, why we have hundreds of graduates PhD. My second question is that, do you have any study with regard to the employment of these hundreds of graduates of PhD students?
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Now, I have, of my last round of questions, I only keep one for Professor Zuhainis. That's it. When we talk about, some people talk about STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Other people talk about STEAM, science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. How important do you think that we have to give place on social sciences and humanities? So that's my last question. And time. Yes, exactly. So you have 5 minutes. Pick whatever question you want, ignore whatever question you do not want, and you can hunt them down outside if they avoid your questions.
As if the pressure of running a ministry is not enough. Now we have to do this, right? In 5 minutes, okay. You know, when I talk about rethinking university, we talk about combining, and then Karen talk about, oh, no, university is still very important to learn other skills. And of course, Dr. Farouk talk about, you know, Zahid's recent comment about elevating the TVET certification qualification to level 6, 7, 8, which essentially, not exactly, but essentially is sort of like an equivalence to degree, master, and PhD. Okay, number one, I don't mean you don't need university. Somebody still need to think about what is love. So I can answer my wife after this. You need universities. I aspire to do a PhD. Hopefully one day, I don't know, Prof, you're going to offer me scholarship again, but not now, right? Now too busy. We need university. But what I'm trying to say is this: if you are thinking the current university model will be able to fulfill your job market demand, then we are delusional. Because universities, I don't know, you want to count Nalanda or you want to count Oxford, it is not created for the industrialized world. Okay, that's one. But number two, that's why I say forget about trying to make your TVET sector like university, because we think that it is more sexier. It's sexier to have, you know, university so that the not so smart one goes to TVET, but they feel like they are going to university. No, we're not trying to do that. 6, 7, 8 level, that was proposed by me. So actually you are responding to me, not really. The Deputy Prime Minister announced it, but I tabled the paper in Cabinet because I realized, and I'm not saying that you should go and study bachelor degree. Also, I feel a bit disappointed, Doctor. I mean, dear friend. He said that he will go lower down the quality of bachelor degree as if TVET certification is not good enough. My friend, come on lah. No, it's in a good faith. But what I'm trying to say is this. Now we only have CJ 1 to 5, tahap 1 sampai tahap 5. Tahap 5 is advanced diploma. So I said, we are stuck there. So those students who wants to go more further, what do? But they want to be in the TVET stream. So I said, let's do 6, 7, 8. Why? And how you do it? You don't go to university to study. So this is not your bachelor degree. So I think that there is a differentiation. What you do? If you have 20 years, 15 years of experience being a coder in Microsoft, hey, you are better than the fellow who just graduated from degree lah. I'm a programmer, I know. It is by practice that you get better, right? So can I certify you to be a level 6, what we call tentatively, CJ Pakar Kemahiran Malaysia. You are an expert, you are a skill expert in this sector. You'll be certified by the industry, you'll be certified by Jabatan Pembangunan Kemahiran. So you have a CJ Kemahiran Malaysia tahap 6, which is essentially a CJ Pakar Kemahiran Malaysia, and so on and so forth. So we are looking at acknowledging your skills, acknowledging your experience, your competency. How lah? Wait lah. Yeah. No. Datuk Siti, you asked about the discipline. Actually, I answered it earlier, but I really want to say this. All this job, what kept me awake? The 3 paradoxes, the 3 job market paradoxes. I hope you remember what I said because I almost forgot what I said. But basically that, what kept me awake? And everybody asking how to make the salary go up and all. And we have done a few mechanisms, minimum wage for one, progressive wage for another. Of course, minimum wage, no one is happy. Some say it's not enough, some say it's too high. But minimum wage mechanism is not a panacea to solve your wage problem. I personally believe it is important. Again, press, don't say that. I say no, it's important. It helps. Bottom 10 decile, it helps up to 60% improvement. But this is not everything. I personally believe if we want to improve jobs, we want to create higher paying jobs, we want to improve salary, we have to move away from the buy cheap, sell cheap model, economic model. You cannot. You want to buy everything cheap. You want to be subsidized utility. You want to buy cheap labor. Then you will never be able to improve. So we talk about reconfiguration, a item. Economic Madani, raising ceiling, raising floor. What does it mean? For me, raising ceiling means you have to upscale. You have to lift up the value of economy. 300,000 graduates, 1/4 or 1/3 of it is science and tech. Then we have another 100,000 roughly TVET graduates. But yet, you see, susah lah. But yet, we can only produce 50,000 high-paying jobs. So your economy needs to go up in value, which is why we say raising the ceiling, putting money, 40 billion in 2025 budget for SMEs, 25 billion domestic investment by the GLICs, etc., etc. But on the other hand, raising the floor means helping our people to upskill, for example, so that they will be able to face with the demand. Economy need to be lifted up. The value of the economy is not just about individual employers, individual workers being paid or not being paid, but the economy itself is not able to provide at this rate of in the last 10, 20 years. So we have to reconfigure. Finally, final one. How to make this TVET thing more attractive and all. I take this opportunity here because all of you are here, top corporate leaders, thought leaders and all. I'm now taking a TVET cert. All the our politicians love to take PhDs, kan? They get it from UUM for whatever reason. No, please. No, don't. They are genuine ones. They are genuine ones, right? Okay. No, please. Why are you laughing? I felt that if you want to make TVET something, you need to do it yourself. So I'm taking a TVET level 5 because we can only go up to level 5 today. I'm doing a TVET level 5 skills certification. Corporate leadership. Okay, we have there are all sorts. There are all sorts of things. You can do computer science. You can do whatever. Okay, you can do AI coding. I'm inviting 100 corporate leaders, community leaders, union leaders to join me. Then soon we're going to announce, 100 top TVET ambassador. So if you want to join me, call my number. It's on my Facebook. No, serious, it's on my Facebook, my handphone number. Thank you.
Okay, that extra 30 seconds is fully worth it. So, okay, next, Prof.
Just now the question.
Yeah, you
STEAM,
answer
right?
the questions and wrap it up.
Yeah.
5 minutes.
And also, I would like to echo YB Stephen in terms of the TVET. If you notice recently, there was a article came out by published by MQA mentioning about APEL S, APEL accredited of prior learning experience learning for skill. So that is very actually supporting and accommodating for TVET, who actually venture into TVET. And when we talk about STEM and STEAM, whether we need STEAM, whether we need that arts in STEAM, and when we look at the core principles for the AI era right now, we need to have digital and AI fluency, not just AI literacy or digital literacy. Now, after 2022, we need to have fluency. Systems thinking, I mentioned just now, interdisciplinary problem solving. Also, one of the key component of key competency of education for sustainable development is the integrated problem solving. Entrepreneurial mindset, sustainability and green technology, ethical leadership and global citizenship. So with those core principles, core disciplines that is needed in this AI era, you tell me whether we need STEM or only STEM or we need STEAM. Because even when we mention about the 17 SDG, right, it is already nicely in place for us, all the issues that we need to address. But we need to work collaboratively to address the issues. Then, when we just focus on STEM and we don't have that art into it, will we be able to achieve the 17 SDGs as mentioned earlier? So, whether we need liberal studies, that also we leave it to the institutional autonomy, because we may not need the dedicated courses, but how we design our curriculum, design through innovative pedagogy that will actually embed this, because our focus is to produce humanity-centric, entrepreneurial and adaptive learners. That is our focus. And of course, the core value will involve sustainability, involve holistic well-being, and also shared prosperity. I think that's all. Should I address the question just now?
Yes, please. I mean,
from the
until your time is up.
Okay. I still have time. I don't have the number for all the 612 people who graduated this 2024, but we do have our graduate from Universiti Putra Malaysia who actually become ambassador. Those are policy makers, and we have people who, because they ventured into startups, for example, when they were studying, they have their own companies. So in diverse field, although our focus in UPM is on agriculture, now we also have coined the acronym, like YB Stephen mentioned, launched by our Chancellor, Pertanian untuk Rakyat, Putra is Pertanian untuk Rakyat. And we have launched the food security blueprint, Keterjaminan Makanan UPM. So when actually I'm the lead author for that book, where we to show that STEAM, for example, where when our focus is on food security, we have 17 faculties from different background, diverse field, but each and every faculty is responsible to contribute to food security. That is from social sciences and to medical, for example. So that's how we emphasize on the importance of this interdisciplinary and transdisciplinary approach in education. Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
I've got 3 takers for the 100 TVET leader course.
Okay. Karen.
Thank
I'm
you.
contemplating whether to join you, but hold on first.
I think I'm going to take you up, Stephen, and get a TVET certification as well.
Then people won't say the TVET fellows are not equivalent to degree.
I just want to address the question from the gentleman upstairs on Malaysia's multicultural makeup and what challenges that might pose for the education system. I strongly believe in this. If a school provides high quality education, it will attract Malaysians from all walks of life. You probably have noticed maybe some uncomfortable trends in the education system that perhaps indicate, some kind of ethnic segregation, etc. Normally, schools are when you choose your school, it's based on where you live, right? But if you look at government schools, which schools are the most multicultural today? Any guesses? They're actually the Chinese schools, and why that is because it is perceived, and with some evidence behind it, that they are providing higher quality. So that shows that higher quality actually attracts good students. And how do you ensure higher quality is, well, the obvious one is financing. So Chinese schools also tend to be better resourced. And why are they better resourced? Because they make the effort to go out and fundraise, right? And the schools that are better resourced are usually in urban locations, usually in more affluent areas, and those who know how to go out and fundraise. But every school should have access to financing in order to uplift their quality. And uplifting quality is not just in terms of maintenance of dilapidated schools. It's quite a shame that in this day and age, when we're talking about digitalization and AI, we're also talking about dilapidated schools. Isn't that sad? And I totally agree. All of this should not be on the government's shoulders. There are so many corporates out there who are more than willing to support education, because education is everybody's business, right? We all have a stake in it. And the thing is, they don't know where to channel the funding. So if there are financing mechanisms that are transparent, where funding can be targeted at where they are most needed, and where the best teachers and the most resources are dedicated to the schools that need them the most, then we can start to see some changes happening. I agree with my fellow panelists. Education should not be just, we have to abandon this mentality that education is just to fulfill a job market. Education is to create a human capital who are thinkers, who are problem solvers, and this will uplift the economy, up the value chain, to then be able to produce more, to offer more high-skilled jobs. So it's a cycle, you know, it's something that has to be addressed holistically, and whether we are in K through 12, higher education, human capital, lifelong learning, we all need to work together because everything is interconnected. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Allow me to apologize for causing stress to my panelists, esteemed panelists, to you, especially those who raise your hand, who ask questions and so on. Very sorry, I have to, I would hope to do a better job next time as moderator, so you would have the time better managed. to be fair to Dr. Siti, also no pantun from me as an ending. And if you have been enlightened first and also entertained in that last 1.5 hours, please give a big hand to our panelists. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that wonderful panel. I think this was the perfect panel to get over our post-lunch slump as well. However, we do have refreshments outside, so we'll be taking a quick break, and we'll be returning back to the hall at 3:15 p.m. for our final panel of the day. 3:15.